Well, today for my vlog, I'm going to be doing a time-lapse drawing since it's been a while since I've done one. Not too time-lapsed. I think I've only got this at 150%, but I'm using reference, and I don't use reference enough when I sketch. I have a tendency to just do cartoony things when I do these and just use basic shapes, but I think a stronger drawing has some reference used, so I'm going to try and do that a little bit more. I just found something on DeviantArt, and I'm just basically using it not as a likeness, but just trying to jog my brain into seeing shapes I wouldn't come up with, in my that I don't have in my visual library in my head, and just reminds me, of where things sit and different shapes that exist in nature and in the figure, but I don't have kind of cataloged. So it's good to use reference for that. I also had a question about commissions. It was kind of a follow-up question to one I had maybe a month or so ago. And it was, how did I market commissions when I first started, and who were my first customers? I did. I've had an eBay account since 2003, and I used to just because back then I wasn't working on anything. I would just and I wouldn't do this now, so I don't recommend this. But I did auction off commission slots, and you basically won a commission. So that was the first thing that I did, and they weren't great, but not shortly after that, about a year later, I started setting up at shows, and I never really, for me, setting up at shows, it was just, you did commissions as an artist. That's what you did. I didn't really worry about whether or not I was good enough. Looking at my stuff now, I wouldn't, I wouldn't think I was good enough. But if you set up, if you're accurately advertising with samples what you're capable of, and someone says, I want you to do that for me, then do it. And I've had people that I did commissions for years ago that came back, a year or two ago, that I did stuff maybe 10 years ago, and they go, I've got a few pieces from you, but you're so, I want to get something from you now, just given where your skills are now. So some people kind of like coming back and getting something to see that kind of progression of you as an artist. But if you're waiting for the perfect time, you're not going to be ready. You'll never do anything, probably. But my advice is just, if you set up at a show, or if you're online, just present what your skills are at the moment and do the best you can. And if somebody wants to pay you for that, then that's a legit transaction, and you'll get better by doing commissions. If you wait until you're good enough, you'll never think you're good enough. So might as well just go ahead and do it. That's just my own personal philosophy on it. I was thinking that I also may do a video here on just character design, or the evolution of a character as you are drawing a book. Like when I did William the Last, or am doing it, I've been working on it for 4 years now. 4? Yeah, wow. 4 years. So it's, the characters have finally, maybe a year ago, settled onto where they are. So I draw them the same way every time now. But looking back, because I'm posting it on Webtoons, I've noticed that when you go back, certain features were in flux before they kind of got settled. And I knew that was going to happen, because I figured if I waited until I got these characters exactly right. And when I started the book, I was working on, I was doing G.I. Joe, and I think I was doing Transformers at the time. Yeah, no, I was on G.I. Joe. Wait, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I just started G.I. Joe. So, I had work, and I was like, this is a side project. If I wait until I get everything just the way I wanted, I would never do it. So I just made it as a, web comic, just doing whatever I wanted to do, and just taking it as an experiment. And oddly enough, that's the thing that has been, for me as a creator and project, the most successful. I think a lot of people really, really responded to that art better than when I was trying to, draw like I thought I should draw to get into DC or Marvel or be a quote comic book artist. And 'cause somebody said, a friend of mine said at a show that you know, there that my in recent years or like the last couple of years, my style had just drastically changed, and they asked me why, and I said, it's when I started drawing, and it was more of a compliment. Like and I've had several people say, and I've mentioned this before, that you've gotten better all of a sudden, and it was because I started drawing how I just naturally felt like I wanted to draw, not like I felt like I had to draw. And that's kind of when my ability kind of unlocked a little bit, and I still got a long ways to go, but a lot better than I used to be. But anyway, so I'm that's my advice on that. I also had another question. Let me look it up here while this thing is. I'm inking with the nib stiff. It's a Frenden brush. If you go to Freden, FREDEN.com, he's customized a lot of brushes for pretty much cheap. Like I think it was like $6 maybe. But I got like 2 packs, and it's all those brushes on the left for the most part. You see, I use all of his brushes. Let's see. Lots of comments about the motion capture. I'm gonna stop using YouTube capture. I think it's just unless it's everything is really still. Like, well, I'll take that back. I will probably have. Well, no, I'm not going to use it at conventions. I'm going to find something else. It's making bad videos. You can't turn off that motion thing. But anyway, that might have been all the questions I had on for YouTube. I think I'll check it while I'm talking about something else. So, for this reference, I went on DeviantArt. Actually, I went on Pinterest that took me to DeviantArt. DeviantArt has a lot of good reference, like stock, just people that are, taking pictures of themselves, posing in, cosplay and costumes, and say you can use it for reference. A lot of it's free. A lot of it's free for practice. If you get money off of it, they ask you to, pay a royalty. Some of it's just free, but it's a good place to get some good poses and costumes. That's where I got this. And I did read the terms of service. Always do that. Never use reference without reading the terms of service. It's good business, and it's just good common sense. Let's see. Yeah. A couple questions about Webtoons. Will Webtoons own any part of your property? No. According to their terms of service, they do not own anything. You own, quote, exclusive rights to your own creation. I still do not know how Webtoons makes money, since they don't do ads. Yeah, I don't know. Also a question about how I came up with William Last in my writing process. I may do that for tomorrow's video, because I can show the chaos of my writing, my writing on William Last. And I've got some images of some early sketches that are, I've actually put in the original, or the Kickstarter issue of that. So I'm about to get to a point in this drawing where to do the colors, which is the most fun, I think, in Manga Studio for me. Also, I like drawing with white, and once you draw with which in traditional drawing would be really hard with white out. It's hard to find a good flowing ink that's just white. I was using Pro White for a while that constantly had to mix up. There was something I had. I used to get jars like acrylic white and things, but nothing flows just like ink. But so when I color, I make I set that line art to multiply. Especially if you've drawn in white, you have to set it to multiply, or the white will disappear underneath. And then I'll go through with usually a color that I've just picked off the swatches over there on the left, and I'll lighten it up. You'll see it here. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that I do this. I pretty much, for sketches, I pretty much use the same swatches for everything for the most part, or same set, and then adjust the opacity. Doing the eyes there and figuring out the person who posed in this was a blonde, but I think I'm gonna make it red instead. And I used blue in there. Um, Actually, I think the most fun is doing the shadows. That's the most fun I have, doing the modeling in the shadows. This oh, yeah, we go. Let's zoom in a little bit. I tried to experiment with getting just the not having all the menu stuff up. I don't know if that helps, but just being able to do a video of the drawing itself didn't work out so well. The zooming, because I'm afraid if I zoom in, I can zoom in on the canvas, but you see, I move it around so much that I'm afraid there would be moments where I would be drawing out of frame of the video, which would be ridiculous there, and just be bad video. I like being able to draw to here. You see the red as I color in. I'm gonna draw some. Oops, I'm trying to fill in here, and I'm didn't quite make it. Drawing with the color is nice. Like when you have like over there on the left and in the back of her hair, like these little hairs out there that you can just do just in color. That's the nice thing about Clip Studio Paint, Mango Studio, that you just play around with it and do some really nice things. Next comic I'm probably going to color exclusively in Mango Studio because that would be more fun, I think. The book that I'm doing, The Dre, with Brendan Cahill, I did a lot of colors. It's about anthropomorphic squirrels and coloring and doing shading with the fur and being able to draw it in kind of with a brush tool is nice. It's really like Clip Studio. Awkward name for a program now, but I don't know why they changed it. I'm using all purple on the thing. I was going to try to use blue here for the hair. Sometimes red hair, it's nice to use a little bluish color sometimes. But I didn't like it. But you'll see here, I think about right here in a minute. But purple is a nice shadow color because it will not turn green over yellow. And you pretty much uniformly it just works well over every color. Of course, it can be done to death. And then before you know it, all you've ever do is the same thing. Like I do in my sketches. Over and over again, same colors, because it's fast. And I'm usually doing this in the middle of a deadline and trying to get it done as fast as possible. Do some highlights with a screen layer and orangey light coming in, and I'll erase with a soft eraser that I'm gonna erase that on her cheek just to make it a little more of a gradient, not so harsh. It's just a little more. It seems I don't know, a little more flexible than. It's not more flexible than Photoshop. It's more intuitive for me. Erase that because I do not like that color right there. If you go full screen, it'll be easier. See, I'm recording this. It's a smaller on my screen because I'm looking at it in a preview window. But here I'm doing kind of the reflected light, which I've started doing. I've noticed that the more I play around with things, like in Mango Studio, the more when I go to do professional work and my stuff on like William the Last, I've figured out in this how easy way to do reflected light, and so now it translates because it's basically the same layer system as Photoshop. I've started doing that in William the Last several pages. As you look through William the Last, you'll be able to see me learn things and figure things out. I can point to the page where I upgraded Photoshop because all of a sudden things got really crisp, inexplicably, from one page to the next. I went from using Photoshop 7 to Creative Cloud, and I was like, whoa, that's a big difference. I'm way behind. I'm usually way behind on stuff. I was reluctant to do Clip Studio Paint because I thought it was going to mess something up. It did not. So don't worry about that. I still have not upgraded to Windows 10 though. Still using 7. I think. Well, eventually I will. set up a different layer here. I'm drawing this little pattern on top of the black line art layer, and I'll take the opacity way down to make it look like there's stuff going on in there, like a design. It's really just scribbles. It's really an abstract, just to fool your brain into thinking there's a pattern there, but there's no pattern. It's chaos. It's just chaos. Controlled chaos, if there is such a thing. All right, and that's gonna about do it. And there she is. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you all tomorrow.